Guys and girls, it's me, Billy Mack, aka The Freight Boss, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about how we got here today. So as you guys remember, a few years ago, there was a little bit of a pandemic going around, and it threw a monkey wrench in a lot of things, especially the trucking market. In the trucking market, for years, there was just a certain way of things being done, and then when the freight explosion happened, in around 2020 or so, 2021, that's when things got crazy. We had hundreds of new carriers joining every month. People were out buying new trucks. It was the wild, wild west for a long time. And then reality kicked in, and that's kind of where we are now. So let's go back a little bit. So around the pandemic time, everybody was staying home, everybody was ordering things online, and everybody just needed to get what they wanted to get. And if you're home all the time, what are you doing? You're online, you're looking for stuff, you're bored. You couldn't go out anywhere. So you were buying trinkets off Amazon, and they had to get to your place. So how did they get there? Yeah, we brought it. And because there was such an influx of new products being moved around the market, we needed more drivers, we needed more trucks, and that's exactly what happened. Freight rates went from $2.50, $3, $3.50 a mile. Sometimes they were up to $7, $8 a mile during the pandemic because of the shortage. So everybody and their dog was going out to buy a truck. And this news spread around the world, so people from all other countries thought, let's go to America, let's get in a truck, we're going to become rich. $7 a mile, you can't lose. Fuel prices were low, and a lot of the inflation did not kick in as of yet. So it was a great time to make money. However, it was not a great time to start a business because it gave you that false expectation of this is how it is, this is how it was, and this is how it forever will be, when that's not reality at all. Over that time, mega carriers, they grew. And yeah, since they've grown, now that there's a bit of a decline, well, a lot of a decline, they have the funding, they have the assets, they can kind of maintain somewhat where they were. However, their profit margins have shrunk quite a bit, and it is hurting them just as bad as it is hurting us, the small guys. So during this time in the Wild Wild West, you guys remember trucks were going for $300,000 for a truck that just previous 2 years before that was going for $130,000. It was nuts. So now you have all these people stuck with these big $4,000 or $5,000 a month truck payments. Even if the market went back to pre-pandemic, you're still going to have those issues because you cannot afford the same payments you were making out when you were making $7 a mile, now making $1.75 to $3 a mile. So where does that leave us now? Well, that's a good question. Right now, everybody's kind of scared in the market because it's very unknown. Realistically, it's not unknown. It's more common, more normal now than it was during the pandemic. Now is more reality. The problem is we still have a residual of people in the industry that has no business being in the industry. People that are doing freight for cheap. Why? Because they just got to make enough money to pay that truck payment. That can only last for so long. Same as the mega carriers. And now they're freaking out because the government is getting rid of one of their things that they had the advantage of, and that was cheap labor. Cheap imported labor. And when that goes away, that's going to put them on more of a level playing field. So what's that mean for you guys? The guys that want to do it right, the guys that have a reasonable truck payment or no payment at all. Why are we not making it? Well, the truth is we can be making it. We have to go back to pre-pandemic. You remember what pre-pandemic was like. You had to make sure that your maintenance was up. You had to make sure that you were working the work you could do. You weren't just waiting around for these big dollar loads. You gotta move. You're gonna get those loads. You wanna know how to get those loads? Niche markets. We're gonna get into that in another video. But for now, just keep trucking along. Do what you're doing. You know how to do it. Take that time of the pandemic where the rates were crazy high and just forget about it, because realistically, that is not reality. It is not reality, and that's why a lot of people are crashing down. How many people do you guys see in a truck stop with a brand new truck or a 2-year-old truck that they're paying $6,000 payment on that truck? That is silly, crazy. And if you don't know the market, and or if you knew the market before but just knew during the pandemic, all I got to do is just sit here and somebody's going to toss me a $7 a mile load, well, that's not reality. Learn the market. Find a dispatcher. Find somebody that can help you out make money for your truck. There's lots to it. There's lots to it. Yeah, you can get behind the wheel. You can run 750 miles a day. But you know what? Sometimes running that mile doesn't relate to profit. And it's not because the brokers are cutting you down, because yeah, they are. Some brokers are out there trying to take every single dollar they can from you. But we have to be smart. We have to be smart. The best businesses are as lean as they need to be, grow when they can grow, and be as efficient as possible as they're running. So for you guys, the small owner ops, the small companies, the guys that think that there's no hope, trust me, there's hope. Cost per mile, you need to know it. You have to have a good maintenance program. There's a few things that you need to do. You have to run the business end of the company. Once you figure out that those two things go together like strawberry jam and peanut butter, well, the business part and driving a truck is the company. If you just want to drive a truck and make money, then go be a company driver. That is not the reality. And today you got to be business savvy in order to do so. And every single person is out here to take your last dollar. Inflation's crazy. The shops, the cost of labor rates, insane. Insurance, insane. It does seem like everybody's out to get you. But trust me, there is people making it. There's also people not making it. Yeah, you can go out and do everything right, and unfortunately, you just might not make it. You could go out and have a truck. You could go put your cost per mile down, make sure that everything is going well, make sure that you're doing everything the right way, and then all of a sudden, something happens. Your head goes, and you can't afford that. That happens. That happens. That's business. It's risk. You're in business. And when you're in business, it's a risk. It doesn't matter if it's a $1 billion company or if it's a $50,000 company. It's all risk. Anything can happen. The key is when something happens, you learn from it, you grow from it, and you take that lesson and you put it towards the next business idea or the next phase of your business. We've all been there. We've all struggled. We've all seen the shit end of being in business. All of us. Doesn't matter who. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, all those guys, they're multi-billionaires, but I guarantee at one point in time, there was a lesson that they learned because they dealt with some hard shit. So now that little rant is over, let's get into the meat and potatoes. So you're a small carrier. Let's just say you're an individual owner operator. Right now you're struggling. You're seeing the load boards. You're wondering, oh my goodness, how am I going to do it? I'm stuck down here. I'm in this area. I'm looking on the load board. I just can't cut a break. It's just not worth it to be on the road again. I'm down here. I'm paying $3.25 a gallon for fuel. One tire just cuts into your whole profit for the month. Yeah, we hear you. What you need to do is you need to refocus your thinking. If you want to be an over-the-road driver, you got to be over the road. There's going to be certain areas that you love to go to, and then there's going to be certain areas where you need to go to. So for instance, right now, if I was in a truck right now and I was running my own loads, what I would do is I would probably head myself to the Midwest area, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Iowa, like all that area around there, and just stay in that area. So you're heading out, say you leave Monday morning. You get your load, you head up there. Whatever you can get to get up there, depending where you're at. Maybe you're already up there. You're gonna stay in that area for a few days, make a little bit of money on short hauls in that area. Shorter hauls. A haul where you could almost do in a day, deliver the next morning, get your pay, back on the road again that afternoon. Stay in that area kind of deal. Then at the end of the week, maybe you do that for 2 weeks. But close to the end of your cycle, find a load that's a little bit further if you want to get home. Find a load that's further where you can head out, make a few bucks. All the while, you're going to be checking every single day for the load board. Or you're going to have a great dispatcher in place that says, okay, let's get you running up here. You're going to make a little bit of money the next 2 or 3 days. But over that next 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days, what we're going to do is we're going to find that big dollar load. So instead of you going to a place and you focusing on tomorrow and rushing, my God, I need a payout tomorrow. As long as your truck's earning, give yourself 2 or 3 days to hit that big dollar load. Sometimes you're not going to do it. Sometimes you're going to make a few bucks this week. But the next week, we're going to get you in there somewhere. We're going to find you that load. You're going to find yourself that load where you're making profit, good profit. You take that load, you make your profit. You got to be careful where you're going. Again, a good dispatcher or you knowing the market knows I'm not sending myself in the South Florida unless it's a huge paying load and I can pretty well deadhead all the way up to Atlanta because there is loads that pay going that way. Or you could pop into, Polk City or Plant City, Florida, and you could grab a load of vegetables or fruit and pop into another state. But forget that. The key is to make sure you're planning ahead to make money. A lot of guys will sit around, they'll say, I'm not taking that load today because tomorrow or later on tonight, there could be that load. And you know what? There could be. You could wait around. The good thing is if you're on that load board, you want to get on there early or you want to have your dispatcher on there early searching. Sometimes you can wait. Yeah, there's nothing here that I'm interested in. I'm going to wait till 3, 4 o'clock. Then you get that load up there where, okay, this guy has to have this load filled ASAP. So let's reach out. Let's give them a shout. Hey, Mr. Broker, I see you have a load. And I know you need to get that moving. Maybe we could discuss a freight rate on that because as of right now, we're a little bit too far apart, but if we can come closer together, maybe I can handle your issue that you may or may not have right now of getting that load out. That can happen. You can wait, postpone it till the end of the day, but sometimes you know what, there's 15, 16 other dispatchers, carriers, calling that same person at the same time. Do what's right for you. Go with that gut feeling. Again, trust a dispatcher. I know it seems like it can be an expense, but trust me, a good dispatcher, if you're paying 8% dispatching fee, trust me. If they're handling your paperwork, if they're handling your loads, it might take a month or two for you guys to groove, to figure out what you like and how they work. But once you guys get grooving and flowing, trust me, that 7, 8, 9, 6, whatever percent it is that you're paying will come back. It will come back. Plus, it's a write-off. So like I say, that is kind of what I would suggest to do right now. The market is crazy. You're not going to go out there and find that lane. Well, you know what? I am in Paducah, Kentucky. And I want to leave Paducah and I want to drive to Omaha, Nebraska and back. And I want to make $6 a mile. It's not happening. It's not happening. We got accustomed real quick to picking and choosing lanes, locations. We're not in that business. We're not in the business of picking and choosing. We are in the business of moving freight and making money at it. And you all can do it. You all can do it. We all can do it. There's no question. It doesn't matter if you have 1 truck, 4 trucks, 10 trucks, or 100 trucks. We can all do it. But how do we compete with the mega carriers? Well, that's a good question. It's tough to compete with the mega carriers. Yes, the mega carriers are going through some transitions. But in 2026, that's our time to shine. The mega carriers, they're going to have issues recruiting. They're going to have issues with a lot of things. Thank goodness right now, some might agree, some might not agree, but there is a government in place that is looking to change. If the ATA can kind of get out of their hair and we can focus on more of the mom and pops, it's going to be a great business, this trucking industry. So basically, the mega carriers right now, yeah, they can afford good technology, new fleets, new equipment, new recruiting. They can do all of this stuff better than we can do. But you know what they can't do? They can't put you behind the wheel. They cannot put you behind the wheel. And one of the most important things, I feel the driver is the most important, but there's a lot of other aspects to the trucking industry. Driver and a good dispatch, those are your two key. If you have a good driver that is out on the road and you got a good dispatch making sure that driver is moving, that's all you need. That's it. A little bit of book work on the side, you're perfect. You're great to go. But the mega carriers, like I said, they cannot put you behind the wheel. And without you behind the wheel, they're putting somebody that may not be doing a great pre-trip. So you have issues along the route. They have somebody that may not be able to access certain things as easy as you. If you have somebody that can't follow a map or GPS or whatnot correctly, or maybe they just don't understand a few things, they're gonna cost more money in the long run. I would rather have a driver out there making 80 cents a mile, 90 cents a mile, than the driver out there sometimes making 50 cents a mile, because the driver out there making more money, if the driver's well worth it, if your driver's worth 90 cents a mile and you can afford it, in the end, it's gonna come back to help. Right now, I know 90 cents a mile is silly. I understand that. However, my point is, you can't replace skill, common sense, and critical thinking with money. You just can't. Not technology, not great fleets, not great recruiting. You cannot do that. And by great recruiting, I mean they're recruiting a lot of people. They have programs, they have visas, they have this, that, this, and those people that they're putting in the trucks, we all know. We're not stupid. It doesn't matter what the TV says, we are on the road. We know that they are not qualified to be behind the wheels. And I'm not knocking any race. I'm not knocking any. There is people born right here that shouldn't be behind the wheels. But you know what? The barrier for entry is so low. Those big companies need to fill seats. Big companies need to fill seats. Either way, what we are going to get into over the next few videos is we're going to focus on the individual owner-operator and some of the steps that you guys need to take to find a dispatcher, to get out there and make a little bit of money, things that you should be looking for. Maybe we'll go over a cost per mile sheet, because you guys should know exactly, maybe not exactly 100%, but you should know what you guys are putting out per mile. So when you are taking that, and it's not always cents per mile, you got to look at the big picture. It's total revenue in versus total revenue out. But right now we're not going to get into that. You still need to know what it costs to run your business. You have to have a value on yourself, and you have to put some trust in team. It could be another driver on the road. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Could be, like I said, a dispatcher, a good broker that you're dealing with. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And always, always stay positive, because this is not the end of the road. The doom and gloom that you guys see on the internet, I hear it all the time. It is not the end of the road. This is the make or break point for the real small fleet mom and pop owner operators. It is time for us to shine. The last few years, we really had our nuts kind of trapped. And yeah, it's time. We got a little bit too anxious, too excited with all these big pay rates during the pandemic. We need to kind of refocus a little bit. We need to adapt to the current market. Find that niche that works for you. The niche that works for you may not work for me, may not work for her, may not work for him. We got to find that niche. we will go into that in another video as well. But for now, guys, I'm going to leave this little chit chat at that. I want you guys to follow along, subscribe to the channel. We're going to get a few people in here. We're going to have a little bit of conversation with some people. We want to see what all you guys are kind of dealing with on the road. Suggestions that you guys have for this community, how we can do this together and make the trucking industry special again. It's got to be generational. We got to be able to go out, create great jobs for ourselves, make a great living, come home to our family, make sure that they're happy. Or what's the point? And you know what? We can do it. We just need to have faith. We need to understand the market. And we need to move forward positive, take what we gain every single day, and just keep moving forward. Either way, guys, I'm Billy Mack, aka The Freight Boss, and that's my video for today. Take care, stay blessed, and stay safe.